Over the weekend, Riot dropped a bombshell. EMEA Valorant team Movistar KOI had their partnership agreement terminated effective immediately following a breach of contract. The announcement stunned not only the community, but also the team, and left many wondering what exactly did KOI do wrong. Well, we have since heard from both sides of this situation, and things aren't adding up. On Saturday, September 6th, the Valorant esports EMEA account posted the official announcement, quote, "Riot Games has terminated Movistar KOI's partnership agreement with the Valorant Champions Tour EMEA, following a breach of the team's contractual agreement with the league," end quote. They clarified that this decision only affects KOI's Valorant roster, not any of their other teams or any of the other games they're in. Also, the players on KOI will become free agents at the end of the season, and given the situation, they'll be allowed to sign with another org temporarily until the transfer window reopens. Lastly, Riot stated that a new team will replace KOI in the 2026 season, though they're still evaluating the best fit.
Before we get into the video, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Omen, who are our portal to possibility for sending us to amazing esports events all over the world. We'll be right there at the center of all the action, sharing the best esports has to offer with all of you. Unleash your ultimate gaming potential with the Omen Max 16 laptop. Crafted for powerful performance, the Omen Max 16 is equipped with up to an Intel Core Ultra 9 processor, offering gamers desktop-level performance anywhere, encased in a light, portable body they can take on the go. Then there's also a groundbreaking new self-cleaning fan technology called Fan Cleaner. Powered by Intel, this built-in feature periodically reverses the fan's direction to prevent dust buildup for absolutely peak reliable performance. And for the first time ever, Omen gives players the ability to manually overclock their laptop CPU and GPU for max performance, up to 250 watts total processing power without having to go into the BIOS. Thanks again to Omen for helping players navigate through any gaming obstacle to reach new levels with the Omen Max 16, now available at omen.com. And now, let's get back to our story.
The reaction to this news online? Pure confusion. A breach of contract sounds pretty serious, so what exactly did KOI do? And why didn't Riot just explicitly say it? Riot has a history of being vague when it comes to partnership issues in the VCT. In 2023, the Guard had their America spot revoked after, quote, failing to meet the deadline to agree to the team participation agreement, and Bleed Esports was removed due to, quote, failure to comply with critical reporting requirements and other key obligations. That's all Riot said, no details. The full stories only came out later through other sources. Thankfully, in KOI's case, we got some answers a lot sooner. In a 10-minute video posted at the same time of Riot's announcement, KOI co-founder and the literal largest streamer in the world, Ebi, shared his side of the story. He says that the day before Riot's public announcement, KOI was invited to an urgent meeting. That meeting? To tell them that they were being kicked out of the league, and according to Ebi, they had no previous warnings. He says Riot pointed to three main issues as the reason for their termination: lack of content creation, poor skin sales, KOI ranked last in 2025, and team performance. Ebi doesn't deny the problems. In fact, he agrees with them and takes responsibility for them. But his main issue is with how Riot handled it. According to Ebi, KOI wasn't given a warning. No ultimatum, no second chances, just a single call telling them that they were out. No ifs, ands, or buts. Ebi says they tried to propose solutions during the call and even reached out to every Riot contact they had, but nothing worked. He admits he had fallen short with co-streaming and promised to prioritize it. They were also rebuilding their roster. With contracts finally expiring, they were talking to over 50 players for a rebuild and already signed a coach, Yaba. Now those players have to look elsewhere, and Yaba already out of a job. To make things worse, Riot went public with the news on Saturday, giving KOI no time to sort things out internally. Ebi also speculated that Riot made this move as a way to bring Gentlemates back into the VCT, a massively popular French team that had previously been relegated. Yeah, hearing this all for the first time, it's kind of insane. So let's unpack. Team performance as a reason for a breach in contract feels weak. I mean, other teams did worse than KOI, and at the end of the day, someone has to finish last. If Riot wanted them out that badly, they could have just waited until their contract actually expired at the end of 2026. Skin sales feels like an even worse reason. Yes, KOI ranked last this year, but punishing a team for not making enough money for Riot, that's a rough one. Especially since orgs get a revenue split, so KOI would have wanted to improve those numbers anyway. Lack of content is maybe the only semi-valid complaint here, Riot wants teams to be a part of the VCT ecosystem, grow the brand, engage fans, so on. If KOI wasn't doing that enough in their eyes, fair. But even then, none of these issues seem big enough to justify a sudden termination without warning. Still, and this is important, if these were part of the contractual requirements, then KOI is ultimately at fault. They signed knowing full well the expectations, as specific and harsh as they might be. And eBay knows that. He's not arguing the contract. He's calling out the execution of Riot's decision. No notice, no warning, no mercy. And for that, it's hard not to sympathize. However, that isn't where this story ends. According to James Fudge at the Esports Advocate, they learned that the termination was primarily because KOI didn't meet contractual obligations related to co-streaming events. eBay was supposed to be the one doing these co-streams, but in a now deleted tweet, eBay says he took time off for mental health purposes, and instead got fellow Spanish streamer Sergio Farah to host them instead. And while eBay admitted to this in a follow-up stream after his 10-minute statement came out, he claims he didn't think that KOI would be kicked out of the VCT over this. eBay claims he also told Riot that he would come back and stream both Valorant and League to make up for it, but they told him it no longer mattered. This seemed to be corroborated by Overactive CEO Adam Adamo, who released his own statement saying that they provided Riot with alternatives, which performed better than they expected, but Riot did not accept these alternatives. News that they, quote, only discovered recently. He goes on to say that this had nothing to do with performance, players, or content, but rather technical details in their contract. Adam doesn't specify what this alternative was in context to, but one can infer it was about the co-streaming obligations and using Sergio Farah. But in an article from Sheep Esports, they claim that this clause was unique to the KOI contract and say that their sources within KOI claim that Riot actually did inform the org of this breach several times throughout 2024, as well as January of this year, which would go against eBay's claims. The article also says that Riot even met in person with Overactive CSO in May to discuss these issues again. However, after that meeting, KOI received no more warnings and assumed things were fine since Riot was working with them on a 2026 skin bundle. But besides that, if this information is true and KOI did receive multiple warnings, then the circumstances change quite drastically. And while some fans believe it's unfair to tie a team's existence to the specific person who co-streams their matches, others think that eBay's sheer popularity is the only reason they got a spot in the VCT in the first place.
What was revealed was like, if your team got in based off the presumption that Abai was going to be co-streaming your games, like that's the entire reason it decided to allocate this spot to you, largely, was that one clause, and you don't end up doing it.
They had a streamer though, right?
Yes.
They still had someone
Who
streaming
was
it.
pulling numbers, to be
What
fair. The big
numbers?
thing, the
No, like
numbers?
12k.
Yeah,
What,
like
12k,
10K.
Not
10K?
good enough. They want Abai. They want the entirety of the Spanish-speaking audience of the world.
Well, I mean, that is,
Yeah.
I mean, it is
That
an
was what
enormous
they would.
downgrade,
That is what was
isn't it?
signed down, and you can't. That's like trying to replace Tarek with Platchat. It just don't work.
eBay has since gone on a podcast to push back against some of these claims, while reiterating that while they could have done better as an organization, Riot's communication on this matter was abysmal, and they are still looking for answers. As far as KOI goes, it seems like their time in Valorant might be over altogether, and we will just have to wait and see who replaces them. In the meantime, let me know what you think about this whole ordeal. The sentiment from all parties is that Riot was in their right to drop KOI, but do you think it was fair?
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's video. All year, we've been traveling around the world with our friends at Omen to bring you coverage of the biggest events on the esports calendar. As part of that, I'd like to ask you all if you could fill out the survey via the link in the description below so we can continue to bring you the content we know that you love. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching.